Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. Success in design can be fickle. Consumers need to be told what to pay attention to. In 2020, few noticed the Tudor Royale. Keen-eyed YouTubers have revisited the model in the past months.
Well done case, and a dial that is far from distasteful, but in certain formats it can look like a confusing mashup where the watch seems almost uncertain what it wants to be. But then again, it does have some points going for it and a reason for it to get some attention. Its dipping of its toes on both the dress and the sports side of the pond make it a good
And it's hard to put into words what this watch is trying to be. It's like a gentified oyster quartz Air King. Yeah, I'll go with that. Alas, we are returning back to the integrated bracelet trend and looking at it through the lens of a Tudor sports watch. But contrary to popular belief though, maybe I am that 10%, but I find this watch to be quite fantastic. And I think from
like you're getting your money's worth here, mixed in with the detail work, with the design, with how it wears and how it pops in person. It's quite a sharp watch, and I'm attracted to the sharp watches, to the shiny things that are a little bit different.
It seems nobody can quite place the reason for the model to be, but now the big sister brand Rolex has given perhaps consumer that reason. The Land-Dweller was the talk of the Watches and Wonders fair. And whatever has been said of the Royale has been sort of echoed in Geneva in the past weeks. Nobody can quite place this model in the lineup. What is it meant to be? What does the name even mean? People don't question the quality but are unsure of the dial configuration. I'm sure many are not quite sure they actually like the watch at all. But since it's Rolex, since they introduced the basic design in 1969 with the oyster quartz, then it must be good, and given the chance, you would probably buy one and you will look forward to see new dial options. With that sort of paradigm shift, you could say, in mind, the other day I walked past the Rolex AD and a watch stopped me in my tracks in the adjacent Tudor window. This salmon dial, steel, Roman numerals, 38mm Royale. I always kinda liked a bit the Royale, but it looked old-fashioned and I didn't really feel a need to own one. It's probably the general consensus, interesting but not necessary. And yet, for the first time, I look at this thing and think, well, if the AD would ask me to buy a Tudor that is not a Black Bay as a package deal to get a Rolex, I would go for this Royale. If you go for the larger 41mm size, you can even get a day-date complication, all of which is provided by Sellita, by the way, so the retail price is very reasonable. They offer the two-tone look as well. The bezel is quite interesting, and if Rolex did something like that, and they sort of did in the past for the bezel, people would find the retro look revival charming. So, is it now the time people will finally notice what has been there available all along for 5 years? A revival of the oyster quartz with a very good-looking dial, mechanical movement, a worthy successor in the dressier range of Tudor to the famous Prince range, which has all but gone, replaced by the glamour and other model types. What is really interesting is that Tudor introduced what we can easily call a junior model to the Land-Dweller, some 5 years ahead of Rolex. Wait, how about the 1926 of Tudor? Was that too a precursor to the Rolex 1908? Okay, I'm pushing things a little bit here. Anyway, Tudor is by design the affordable alternative, but at times, might it be more of a testing ground for Rolex? In the case of the Royale, the testing was not very convincing at all, but Rolex went on with it anyway, and because it's Rolex, people not only pay attention, but it shapes tastes And that little germ in everyone's mind could convince consumers that the Tudor Royale was just great all along. There's a bit of back and forth between the two brands. For example, the Tiffany dial appeared on the OP first, then a close shade turned up on the Black Bay Chrono, and now Rolex offers it on the Oyster Flex Daytona chronograph. Now for Tudor, I'm sure they expected a bigger success for the Royale, and they could use the Land-Dweller boost because their lineup of Black Bays is getting very crowded and sales have slowed down a lot. I'll say one thing that's definitive: the dial on the Royale is more traditional. The text is printed and simple, not too many lines. This suggests what the Land-Dweller could actually end up looking like when Rolex improves and simplifies the dial. Also, you will probably enjoy the level of fit and finish of the Royale. The movement is not Tudor's own, it's a Sellita, but it will run okay and you will not care too much as it's hidden from view. I'm not trying to sell you on this Royal ID, I don't care either way, but I just find interesting how design perception can suddenly turn by a stroke of Swiss marketing genius. One valuable insider tip, since we're talking about the Royale, there is a limited number of removable links, so you might need to have a permanent link removed for the clasp to sit just right on your wrist, and that is with 2 or 3 less links on the 6 o'clock, as I often do. And there is a good YouTuber video for a visual explanation of this little problem. And one last thing. Isn't the name Tudor Royale just a million times better than Rolex Land-Dweller? Give the Royale a like and maybe subscribe for more French accented takes on the watch market.